The coffee shop was nearly empty when Maya Morrison whispered those 5 words that would change everything, unaware that the man sitting across from her would spend the rest of his life proving her wrong. She stared down at her phone, reading the text message from her ex-boyfriend for the 3rd time that evening. The words blurred together through the tears she refused to let fall. 3 years of her life, gone in a single cruel paragraph that ended with him saying he had found someone more attractive, someone who turned heads when she walked into a room. Maya had never been that girl. She had always been the quiet one, the forgettable one, the girl next door who blended into the background. "I'm not pretty enough," she said, her voice barely audible. The words hung in the air, and she did not even realize she had spoken them out loud until a deep voice responded from the table next to hers. "That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard." Maya looked up, startled. She had not noticed the man sitting there, though now that she saw him, she wondered how that was even possible. He was tall. Even sitting down she could tell that much, with dark hair that fell just slightly over his forehead and eyes so intensely blue they seemed to look right through her. He wore a simple black sweater and jeans, but there was something about the way he carried himself that suggested he was used to being listened to. "Excuse me." Maya wiped quickly at her eyes, embarrassed that a stranger had heard her moment of weakness. He stood up, and Maya's first instinct had been right. He was tall, easily over 6 feet, with broad shoulders and the kind of presence that filled a room. He moved to her table with a confidence that made her heart skip, but not in the anxious way she was used to. This was different. "I'm sorry for eavesdropping," he said, though his tone suggested he was not sorry at all, "but I couldn't let that statement go unchallenged." He gestured to the empty chair across from her. "May I?" Maya should have said no. She should have gathered her things and left, saved herself the embarrassment of crying in front of a stranger. But something about the genuine concern in his expression made her nod instead. He sat down, leaning forward with his elbows on the table. "I'm Jason Lawrence," he said, extending his hand. "Maya Morrison." She shook his hand, noting the firm grip, the calluses on his palm that suggested he worked with his hands despite the expensive watch on his wrist. "Maya," he repeated, as if testing the name. "That's beautiful. Suits you." She felt heat rise to her cheeks. "You don't have to do that." "Do what?" "Try to make me feel better with compliments you don't mean." Jason leaned back, studying her with an intensity that made her want to squirm. "What makes you think I don't mean it?" Maya gestured vaguely at herself. "Look at me. I'm just average. Brown hair, brown eyes, nothing special. I'm the girl people walk past without noticing." "Then people are idiots," Jason said flatly. "And whoever made you believe that about yourself is the biggest idiot of all." Despite herself, Maya felt a small smile tug at her lips. "You don't even know me." "No," he agreed. "But I know what I see. And what I see is a woman with eyes the color of honey in sunlight, not just brown. A woman with a smile that she's trying to hide, but that I can tell would light up this whole room if she let it. A woman who's been hurt by someone too stupid to recognize what he had." Maya's breath caught. No one had ever spoken to her like this. Not her ex, not any man she had ever dated. "That's quite a speech for a stranger. Maybe I'm not good at staying silent when I see something wrong." Jason signaled to the barista. "Can I buy you a coffee? Or something stronger? You look like you could use it." "Coffee's fine," Maya said, still processing his words. "But you really don't have to. I want to." He ordered them both fresh coffees, then turned back to her. "So tell me about this person who was dumb enough to let you go." And somehow, Maya found herself talking. She told him about Derek, about their 3 years together, about how he had always made little comments about her appearance, how he would suggest she wear more makeup, different clothes, lose a few pounds, how she had tried so hard to be what he wanted, only to never be enough. Jason's jaw tightened as she spoke, his hands curling into fists on the table. "He sounds like a controlling piece of work," he said when she finished. "You're better off without him." "Everyone keeps saying that," Maya said, "but it doesn't make it hurt less. What if he's right? What if I'm just not?" "Stop," Jason said firmly. He reached across the table and gently took her chin in his hand, turning her face toward him. The touch was soft, respectful, but commanding enough that she obeyed. "Look at me, Maya," she did, meeting those incredible blue eyes. "You are breathtaking," he said, and the sincerity in his voice made her chest tighten. "Not despite anything, not if you change anything. Right now, exactly as you are absolutely breathtaking, and any man who can't see that doesn't deserve a single second of your time or tears." Maya felt the tears come anyway, but this time they were different. For the first time in 3 years, they were not tears of inadequacy or shame. They were tears of relief, of something inside her that had been crushed slowly being allowed to breathe again. "Thank you," she whispered. Jason released her chin but did not move back. "I mean every word." He paused, then added with a slight smile, "And I have a feeling if we sat here long enough, I could come up with about 100 more reasons why you're remarkable." "Now you're just trying to charm me," Maya said, but she was smiling, really smiling for the first time that evening. "Is it working?" "Maybe a little." They talked for 2 more hours, long after their coffees went cold. Maya learned that Jason was 32, just 5 years older than her. He had grown up in Seattle, moved to Portland 3 years ago for work. He loved old movies, terrible puns, and hiking in the Columbia River Gorge. He had a younger sister he adored and parents who had been married for 40 years. "What do you do for work?" Maya asked. Jason hesitated for just a moment. "I'm in construction," he said. "Buildings, mostly. What about you?" "I'm a veterinary technician," Maya said. "I work at the clinic on Morrison Street, actually. That's partly where my last name comes from. My family has lived in Portland for generations." "You work with animals," Jason's face lit up. "That's incredible." "It can be hard sometimes," Maya admitted, "but I love it. There's something about helping creatures who can't help themselves, you know. They trust you completely." "That takes a special kind of person," Jason said. "Someone patient and kind and compassionate." "You're doing it again," Maya said, but she was blushing. "Doing what? Making me sound better than I am." "No," Jason said seriously. "I'm just pointing out what's already there." He glanced at his phone and grimaced. "I hate to do this, but I have an early meeting tomorrow. Can I walk you to your car?" Maya felt a pang of disappointment but nodded. They gathered their things and stepped out into the cool Portland night. The rain had stopped, leaving the streets gleaming under the streetlights. "I'm just over there," Maya said, pointing to her Honda Civic. They walked slowly, neither of them seeming eager for the evening to end. When they reached her car, Jason turned to face her. "I know this might be forward," he said, "but can I see you again? Maybe dinner this weekend?" Maya's heart jumped. Part of her, the part that Derek had damaged, wanted to say no, wanted to hide and protect herself from the possibility of more hurt. But another part, the part that Jason had somehow breathed life back into in just a few hours, wanted to say yes more than anything. "I'd like that," she said. The smile that spread across Jason's face was genuine and warm. "Saturday. I'll pick you up at 7. They exchanged phone numbers, and Jason waited until she was safely in her car before heading to his own vehicle. Maya watched him walk away, noting the confident stride, the way he moved like someone used to commanding attention without trying. As she drove home, her phone buzzed with a text. It was from Jason. "Thank you for tonight. You made what could have been a very ordinary evening into something special. Sleep well, Maya. And remember, you're breathtaking." Maya read the message 3 times, a smile she could not contain spreading across her face. Saturday could not come fast enough. The week crawled by in a blur of nerves and anticipation. Maya found herself thinking about Jason at the oddest moments, while she was restraining a nervous terrier for vaccinations, while she was eating lunch in the break room, while she was lying in bed at night. They had texted throughout the week, easy conversations that flowed naturally, but she had not seen him since that night at the coffee shop. Her best friend Rachel noticed immediately that something was different. "Okay, spill," Rachel said on Thursday, cornering Maya in the clinic's supply room. "You've been walking around with this dreamy look on your face all week." "Who is he?" Maya tried to play innocent. "I don't know what you're talking about, please. I've known you since college. You're terrible at hiding things. So who's the guy?" Maya sighed and told her about Jason, about the coffee shop, about their upcoming date. Rachel listened with growing excitement. "Oh my God, Maya, this is perfect. You need this. You need someone who sees how amazing you are after what that jerk Derek did to you." "It's just one date," Maya cautioned. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves." "One date is how everything starts," Rachel said wisely. "What are you going to wear?" That became the next challenge. Maya stood in front of her closet Saturday evening, second-guessing every piece of clothing she owned. Derek's voice echoed in her head, all his criticisms about her style, her body, her choices. She almost changed outfits 4 times before finally settling on a simple navy dress that hugged her curves without being too tight, paired with a leather jacket and ankle boots. She was applying the last touch of lip gloss when her phone buzzed. "I'm outside." "No rush, take your time." Maya took a deep breath, grabbed her purse and headed downstairs. She lived in a modest apartment building in southeast Portland, nothing fancy but comfortable and hers. When she stepped outside, she froze. Jason was leaning against a sleek black car that looked incredibly expensive, wearing dark slacks and a button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up to his forearms. When he saw her, he straightened, and the look on his face made Maya's breath catch. "Wow," he said, moving toward her. "You look stunning." "Thank you," Maya said, suddenly shy. "You clean up pretty well yourself." "I try." He opened the passenger door for her, and Maya slid into the leather seat, noting the immaculate interior. This was not just an expensive car, it was a very expensive car. "What kind of car is this?" she asked as Jason got in the driver's side. "It's a Mercedes," he said casually. "I know it's a bit much, but it was a gift and it drives well. A gift." Maya filed that information away, curious but not wanting to pry. They drove through the city, talking easily about their weeks. Jason asked about her job, genuinely interested in the stories she told about the animals she had treated. He laughed at her description of a particularly stubborn bulldog who had refused to cooperate during a simple examination. "Where are we going?" Maya asked as they crossed the river. "I hope you don't mind, but I made reservations at Le Pigeon. Have you been?" Maya's eyes widened. Le Pigeon was one of Portland's most renowned restaurants, the kind of place that required reservations weeks in advance, and cost more for one meal than she usually spent on groceries in a week. "Jason, that's way too expensive," she protested. "It's not too expensive if it means I get to have dinner with you," he said simply. "Besides, the food is incredible, trust me." There was something about the way he asked, the genuine desire to share this experience with her, that made Maya relax. "Okay. But next time I'm picking the place and it's going to be something normal." "Next time?" Jason glanced at her with a grin. I like the sound of that. The restaurant was everything Maya had heard and more. The atmosphere was intimate and warm. The food was extraordinary, and Jason was attentive without being overwhelming. He asked her real questions, seemed genuinely interested in her answers, and told her stories about his own life that made her laugh. "So you actually fell off the roof?" Maya asked, giggling at his description of a teenage mishap. 12 feet, straight into my mother's prize rose bushes, Jason confirmed. "I was grounded for a month and I had scratches everywhere. My sister still brings it up at family dinners." "What were you doing on the roof in the first place?" "Trying to impress a girl," Jason admitted with a self-deprecating smile. "I thought climbing up there to leave a note on her window was romantic. Turned out she wasn't even home, and I was just an idiot teenager with no sense of self-preservation." "That's actually kind of sweet," Maya said. "Stupid, but sweet. That pretty much sums up my entire adolescence." As the evening progressed, Maya found herself relaxing more and more. Jason had a way of making her feel like she was the only person in the room, despite the restaurant being full. He listened when she talked, remembered details from their previous conversation, and never once made her feel inadequate or less than. It was only when the check came, and Maya caught a glimpse of the total before Jason smoothly took care of it, that she realized just how expensive the meal had been. She did some quick mental math and felt slightly dizzy. "Jason, that was really too much," she said as they left the restaurant. He helped her into her jacket. "Maya, I wanted to take you somewhere special. You deserve to be treated well." "But I can't match this," she said honestly. "I'm a vet tech. I make decent money, but not this kind of money. I don't want you to think I expect this kind of thing." Jason stopped walking and turned to face her on the sidewalk. "Can I tell you something?" "Of course. I don't do this often. Take someone to dinner, I mean. I'm usually too busy with work, and most of the time when I do date, it feels like an obligation or a game. But with you, it's different. I wanted to tonight because I wanted to see you smile, because I haven't been able to stop thinking about you all week, because when I'm with you, everything feels easier." He touched her face gently, his thumb brushing her cheek. "So please don't worry about matching anything. Just be here with me." "That's more than enough." Maya's heart was pounding. "I haven't been able to stop thinking about you either," she admitted. The smile Jason gave her was brilliant. "Good, because I have another surprise if you're up for it." "What kind of surprise?" "The kind that involves a short drive and trusting me a little bit more." Maya should have been cautious. She barely knew this man, but something in her gut told her she was safe with him, that he was exactly what he seemed to be. "Lead the way," she said. They drove for about 20 minutes, heading into the West Hills. The houses got progressively larger and more spread out, until Jason finally turned onto a private road that wound up through tall trees. At the end of the road was a stunning modern house, all glass and wood and clean lines, overlooking the city below. "Whose house is this?" Maya asked. "Mine," Jason said quietly. Maya stared at him, then back at the house, then at him again. "Yours," he nodded, looking almost nervous. "I know I said I was in construction, and that's true. But I wasn't entirely forthcoming about the details. I own a construction company, a large one. We do commercial and residential developments all over the Pacific Northwest." "How large?" Maya asked faintly. "Large enough that this house doesn't cause me financial stress," Jason said carefully. "I wanted to tell you, but I also wanted you to get to know me first, not my bank account. Too many people change when they find out about the money." Maya was quiet for a moment, processing. The expensive car, the effortless reservation at an exclusive restaurant, the watch she could now see probably cost more than her annual salary. Jason was not just successful, he was wealthy. Really wealthy. "Are you angry?" Jason asked. "No," Maya said slowly. "Surprised. Maybe a little overwhelmed, but not angry." She looked at him. "You're still the same person who told me I was breathtaking in a coffee shop, right?" "Exactly the same," Jason confirmed. "Then okay." Maya took a deep breath. "Can I see inside?" The relief on Jason's face was palpable. He led her through the front door into a space that was somehow both impressive and comfortable. The house was beautifully designed, with an open floor plan that took advantage of the views, but it felt lived in, not like a showroom. There were books on the shelves, a well-worn chair by the fireplace, photographs of Jason with people who must be his family. "This is beautiful," Maya said, walking to the floor-to-ceiling windows that looked out over the city lights. Jason came to stand beside her. "I bought it 2 years ago. Everyone said it was too big for one person, but I loved the location and the architecture." "It suits you," Maya said. "It's impressive but not showy." "I'm glad you think so." He paused. "There's a deck upstairs with an even better view. Want to see?" They climbed the stairs to a rooftop deck that took Maya's breath away. The city spread out below them, lights twinkling like stars, the river's dark ribbons cutting through the urban landscape. Jason had outdoor furniture arranged to take advantage of the view, and he gestured for Maya to sit. "I come up here when I need to think," he said, settling into the chair beside hers. "It helps put things in perspective." "I can see why," Maya said. "It's peaceful." They sat in comfortable silence for a few moments, the sounds of the city distant and muted. "Can I ask you something?" Jason said, "Sure." "When you said you weren't pretty enough back in that coffee shop, did you really believe that? Or was it just hurt talking?" Maya considered the question. "Both, I think. Derek spent 3 years making me feel like I was never quite good enough. But I think part of me believed it even before him. I was never the pretty friend, never the girl who got asked out first. It's easy to internalize that." "That's heartbreaking," Jason said quietly. "Because from where I'm sitting, you're extraordinary. And I don't just mean your appearance, though you are genuinely beautiful. I mean the way you light up when you talk about your work, the way you care about things, the way you're real and honest and kind. You barely know me," Maya pointed out, but her voice was soft. "I know enough to know I want to know more." Jason reached over and took her hand. "I know this is fast. We've known each other less than a week. But I haven't felt this way about anyone in a long time, maybe ever. Like I can just be myself without pretense or games." Maya looked down at their joined hands. His was so much larger than hers, warm and solid. "I feel that too," she admitted. "It scares me a little." "Why?" "Because the last time I let myself care about someone, I ended up believing I wasn't pretty enough." She met his eyes. "What if this is just another mistake?" Jason shifted closer, his free hand coming up to cup her face. "I can't promise I'm perfect, Maya. I work too much. I'm stubborn, and I have a tendency to try to solve everyone's problems whether they ask me to or not. But I can promise you that I will never, ever make you feel less than the incredible woman you are." The sincerity in his voice, in his eyes, made something in Maya's chest crack open. Before she could second-guess herself, she leaned forward and kissed him. Jason responded immediately, his arms coming around her to pull her closer. The kiss was everything a first kiss should be, sweet and searching, full of promise and possibility. When they finally pulled apart, both slightly breathless, Jason was smiling. "I've been wanting to do that all night," he admitted. "Me too," Maya said. They stayed on the deck for another hour, talking and kissing and watching the city below. When Jason finally drove Maya home, it was past midnight and she felt like she was floating. "Can I see you tomorrow?" Jason asked as he walked her to her door. "I work until 3, Maya said. "I'll pick you up at 3:15, he said immediately. "We can do something casual. Your choice, remember, deal." He kissed her goodnight, soft and lingering, and waited until she was inside before leaving. Maya leaned against her door, a grin spreading across her face that she could not have stopped if she tried. The next few weeks passed in a blur of dates and conversations and moments that felt like something out of a movie. Jason picked Maya up from work and they went to food cart pods, took walks along the waterfront, caught a movie at the Independent Theater in Hawthorne. He met Rachel, who immediately pulled Maya aside and whispered, "If you don't marry this man, I will be personally offended." Maya met Jason's sister Emma over brunch, a vivacious woman with the same blue eyes as her brother and an easy laugh. Emma regaled them with embarrassing stories from Jason's childhood and gave Maya an enthusiastic hug when they left, whispering, "He's happier than I've seen him in years. Thank you." It was not all perfect. Jason worked long hours, sometimes disappearing into meetings or onto construction sites for entire days. Maya worked unpredictable shifts, occasionally having to cancel plans when an animal emergency came up. But they made it work, sending texts throughout the day, stealing moments whenever they could. One evening, about 6 weeks after they had met, Jason showed up at Maya's apartment looking exhausted. He had been on a job site since early morning, dealing with a crisis that had required his immediate attention. "Come here," Maya said, pulling him inside. She made him sit on the couch while she heated up leftover soup and brought it to him. "Eat, then tell me about it." Jason obeyed, and as he ate, he told her about the structural issue they had discovered, the redesign it would require, the money and time it would cost. Maya listened, asking questions when they made sense, offering sympathy when it did not. When he finished eating, she made him lie down with his head in her lap, and she ran her fingers through his hair while they watched an old comedy movie. Jason fell asleep halfway through, and Maya just sat there, looking down at this man who had somehow become essential to her in such a short time. She was falling in love with him, maybe had already fallen, and that terrified her. The realization that she loved him came fully the night Jason had to rush out on a date because of a family emergency. Emma had been in a car accident, nothing life-threatening but scary nonetheless. Jason had turned pale when he got the call and immediately stood to leave the restaurant where they had been having dinner. "Go," Maya said immediately. "I'll catch a ride home, just go be with your family." "Come with me," Jason said, reaching for her hand. "Please, I need you there." So Maya went to the hospital with him, sitting in the waiting room while he paced, holding his hand when the doctor came out to say Emma would be fine. Just some bruises and a mild concussion. She sat with Emma while Jason went to handle the insurance paperwork, making the younger woman laugh despite her injuries. Jason's parents arrived later, his mother an elegant woman with silver hair and kind eyes, his father a tall man who clearly passed his build onto his son. They both hugged Jason tightly, then turned to Maya with curiosity. "Mom, Dad, this is Maya," Jason said, his arm going around her waist. "My girlfriend." It was the first time he had used that word, and Maya felt warmth spread through her chest. "It's lovely to meet you," Jason's mother said, shaking Maya's hand. "Jason has told us so much about you." "He has." Maya glanced at Jason, who had the grace to look slightly embarrassed. "I may have mentioned you once or twice," he said. "Once or twice per conversation," his father said with a chuckle. "It's good to meet the woman who has our son so smitten." They all sat together in the waiting room until Emma was cleared to go home. Jason's parents offered to take Emma back to their house, giving Jason and Maya the opportunity to finally leave. In the car, Jason was quiet. Maya reached over and took his hand. "You okay?" she asked. "I am now," he said. "Thank you for being there tonight. I know it's not how you plan to spend your evening." "There's nowhere else I would have wanted to be," Maya said honestly. Jason pulled over suddenly, parking on a quiet street. He turned to face her, his expression intense. "I'm in love with you," he said. I know it's fast, and I know we've only been together for a couple months, but I can't keep pretending I don't feel it. I love you, Maya. Your kindness, your strength, your compassion, everything about you. And I needed you to know." Maya felt tears spring to her eyes. "I love you too," she whispered. "I was so scared to say it, but I do. I love you so much." Jason kissed her then, deep and passionate, pouring everything he felt into it. When they broke apart, both of them were breathless and smiling. "Best, worst night ever," Jason said. And Maya laughed, the sound bright and free. After that night, something shifted between them. The relationship that had been building steadily suddenly felt rock solid, like they had been together for years instead of months. Maya spent more time at Jason's house, often staying over on weekends. He kept a drawer for her things, made space in his bathroom for her toiletries. Jason brought lunch to the vet clinic when Maya had long shifts, charming her co-workers with his easy manner and genuine interest in their work. Maya went to construction sites with Jason, fascinated by the process of turning blueprints into buildings, proud of what he had built with his company. They had their first real fight 3 months in, a stupid argument about Jason working too much that escalated because both of them were tired. Maya said he prioritized his company over their relationship. Jason said she was being unfair, and they both said things they regretted. Maya left his house in tears, and they did not talk for 2 days. It was Jason who showed up at her apartment with flowers and an apology. "You were right," he said when she opened the door. "I've been putting work first, and that's not fair to you. You deserve better than my leftover time and attention." "I'm sorry too," Maya said, letting him in. "I knew how important your company is to you. I shouldn't have given you an ultimatum." They talked for hours, really talked about expectations and needs and fears. Jason admitted that he used work as a shield sometimes, a way to avoid vulnerability. Maya admitted that Derek had made her hypersensitive to feeling like she was not enough, and she sometimes projected that onto Jason unfairly. "We're going to have fights," Jason said, holding both her hands. "We're two stubborn people who care deeply about things. But I need you to know that you will always be my priority. Always. The company matters, but you matter more." "I don't want you to stop caring about your work," Maya said. "I just want to feel like I'm part of your life, not separate from it." "You are part of my life," Jason said firmly. "You're the best part." They made up thoroughly, and their relationship emerged stronger for having weathered the conflict. Jason made a conscious effort to maintain better work-life balance, delegating more to his management team. Maya made an effort to communicate her needs before resentment could build. 6 months after they met, Jason asked Maya to move in with him. They were having breakfast on his deck, a lazy Sunday morning ritual they had developed when he brought it up. "I know your lease is up next month," he said, seemingly casual as he refilled her coffee. "And I was thinking, you're here most of the time anyway. What if you just stayed?" Maya looked up from the pancakes she was drowning in syrup. "Are you asking me to move in with you?" "I am." Jason set down the coffee pot and came around the table to kneel beside her chair. "I love you, Maya. I love waking up next to you, coming home to you, sharing my space and my life with you. I want that every day, not just on weekends. So yes, I'm asking you to move in with me. What do you say?" Maya felt tears prick her eyes, the good kind. "I say yes. Absolutely yes." The smile on Jason's face could have powered the entire city. Moving in together was an adjustment, but a mostly smooth one. Maya brought her furniture and possessions, and they worked together to make the house feel like theirs instead of just his. She claimed the spare bedroom as a reading nook, filling it with her books and a comfortable chair. They adopted a rescue dog, a mutt named Charlie who had been abandoned at Maya's clinic and who immediately bonded with both of them. Maya's things mixed with Jason's. their lives intertwining in 1,000 small ways. His expensive artwork shared wall space with her framed photographs. Her collection of vintage teacups sat beside his coffee maker. They learned each other's quirks and habits, the good and the annoying, and loved each other through all of it. Jason brought Maya to company events, introducing her proudly to business associates and clients. Maya brought Jason to vet clinic fundraisers, where he charmed everyone, and wrote generous checks to support the animal shelter affiliated with her workplace. They traveled together, taking long weekends to the coast, to Seattle to visit Jason's childhood home, to San Francisco just for the adventure of it. Every trip revealed new layers to each other, new stories and experiences and dreams. It was during one of these trips, a week-long vacation to Hawaii for Maya's birthday, that Jason proposed. They were on a secluded beach at sunset, the sky painted in impossible shades of orange and pink, when Jason took her hand. "Maya Morrison," he said, his voice steady but his eyes betraying his nerves. "From the moment I heard you say those 5 words in that coffee shop, I knew I wanted to spend my life proving them wrong. Not just that night, not just for a few months or years, but forever." He dropped to one knee, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. Maya's hands flew to her mouth, tears already streaming down her face. "You are the most beautiful person I have ever known," Jason continued. "Inside and out, in every way that matters. You're compassionate and strong and real, and you make me want to be better every single day. I can't imagine my life without you in it, and I don't want to try. Will you marry me?" He opened the box, revealing a stunning ring with a central diamond surrounded by smaller stones that caught the fading light and sparkled like the ocean behind them. "Yes," Maya sobbed. "Yes, of course I'll marry you." Jason slipped the ring on her finger and stood, sweeping her into a kiss that felt like coming home and starting an adventure all at once. When they broke apart, both laughing and crying, the sun had just dipped below the horizon, painting the world in twilight. "I love you so much," Maya said, looking at the ring on her finger in wonder. "I love you more," Jason said, "though I have a feeling we're going to argue about that for the rest of our lives." "Probably," Maya agreed, kissing him again. They called their families from the beach, sharing the news with parents and siblings who were thrilled if not entirely surprised. Emma screamed so loudly Jason had to hold the phone away from his ear. Rachel, when Maya called her, demanded to be made maid of honor immediately. The wedding planning was surprisingly fun, maybe because neither Maya nor Jason cared much about impressing anyone else. They wanted a celebration with the people they loved, something meaningful and joyful without being stuffy. They settled on a ceremony at a historic mansion with gardens overlooking the river, in late spring when everything would be blooming. Maya's mother, who she had not mentioned much to Jason, came into town to help with planning. The relationship was complicated. Her mother had never been particularly warm or supportive, and Maya had spent much of her life trying to earn approval that never came. But Jason, meeting her for the first time, was his usual charming self, and even Maya's mother seemed softened by his genuine affection for her daughter. "You've done well," her mother said to Maya during a dress shopping trip, one of the few compliments Maya could remember receiving. "He's a good man, and he clearly adores you." "He does," Maya said, feeling the truth of it deep in her bones. The dress they found was perfect, simple but elegant, making Maya feel beautiful without trying to be someone she was not. When she tried it on and stepped out of the dressing room, even her mother teared up. Jason, meanwhile, handled his side of the planning with characteristic efficiency. He chose his father and Emma as his best man and best woman, organized the rehearsal dinner, and worked with Maya to create a guest list that balanced both their families and friend groups. The night before the wedding, following tradition, they stayed apart. Maya had a small gathering at her old apartment, which she had kept as a sort of safety net, though she barely used it, with Rachel and Emma and a few other close friends. They drank wine, did face masks, and talked late into the night. "Are you nervous?" Rachel asked. "Not about marrying him," Maya said immediately. "Maybe about tripping walking down the aisle or saying something stupid during the vows, but not about committing to spending my life with Jason. That's the easiest decision I've ever made." "You two are disgustingly perfect together," Emma said affectionately. "My brother is so lucky." "I'm the lucky one," Maya insisted. "You're both lucky," Rachel declared. "Now let's get some sleep before your wedding day. You need to be well rested to look gorgeous." But Maya could not sleep. She lay awake in the early morning hours, thinking about the journey that had brought her to this moment. A year ago, she had been crying in a coffee shop, believing she was not pretty enough, not good enough, not enough, period. And now she was hours away from marrying a man who made her feel like she was everything. The wedding day dawned clear and bright, the kind of perfect spring day that seemed designed for celebrations. Maya got ready surrounded by her bridal party, Rachel fussing over every detail while Emma kept everyone laughing. When Maya finally stood in front of the mirror, fully dressed with her hair and makeup done, she barely recognized herself. Not because she looked different, but because she looked happy in a way she had never seen before. "You look absolutely stunning," Rachel said, tears in her eyes. "Breathtaking," Emma added with a knowing smile. The ceremony was held in the mansion's garden, rows of white chairs set up facing an arch draped in flowers. Maya waited in the house with her father, who had flown in from Arizona and who was trying very hard not to cry. "You ready, sweetheart?" he asked, offering his arm. "So ready," Maya said. The music started, and they began the walk down the aisle. Maya saw the guests, saw her mother dabbing at her eyes, saw Jason's parents beaming with pride. But mostly she saw Jason, standing at the altar in a perfectly tailored suit, looking at her like she was the only person in the world. When her eyes met his, she saw him mouth two words: "So beautiful." Her father handed her off to Jason, who took both her hands and held them tightly. The officiant began speaking, but Maya barely heard the words. She was too focused on Jason, on the love and joy and certainty in his expression. When it came time for the vows, Jason went first. "Maya, I promise to love you exactly as you are, today and every day for the rest of our lives. I promise to remind you of your worth whenever you forget it, to be your partner in every adventure, to support your dreams as fiercely as you support mine. You are breathtaking, and I will spend forever making sure you know it." Maya was crying openly now, not bothering to wipe away the tears. "Jason, you saved me in that coffee shop, though I don't think you realized it. You showed me what it feels like to be truly seen and valued and loved. I promise to be your safe place, your biggest supporter, your partner in everything. I promise to love you through the easy times and the hard ones, to choose you every single day. You've changed my life in the best possible way, and I can't wait to spend the rest of it with you." They exchanged rings, simple bands that fit perfectly, and when the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Jason kissed her with enough passion to make the guests cheer and whistle. "I love you, Mrs. Lawrence," Jason whispered against her lips. "I love you too, Mr. Lawrence," Maya whispered back. The reception was a blur of happiness. They had dinner and toasts that made them laugh and cry. They had their first dance to a song Jason had picked specifically, because the lyrics reminded him of meeting Maya. They cut the cake, which Jason managed to get on Maya's nose despite her attempts to dodge. earning him a playful smack and a kiss. Late in the evening, they snuck away from the party for a few moments alone, standing on a balcony overlooking the river. Jason wrapped his arms around Maya from behind, and she leaned back against him, feeling perfectly content. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Like the luckiest woman alive," Maya said. "You?" "Like I want to skip the rest of the reception and start our honeymoon immediately," Jason said, making her laugh. "We have guests to say goodbye to," Maya reminded him. "I know," Jason sighed dramatically. "But then Hawaii for 2 weeks with my wife, which I have to say I'm very much looking forward to." "Your wife," Maya repeated, testing the words. "I like the sound of that." "Me too," Jason said, kissing the top of her head. They returned to the reception and stayed until the last guest had left, not wanting to miss a moment of celebrating with the people they loved. Then they drove to Jason's house. No, their house, Maya corrected herself, where they would spend one night before flying out for their honeymoon the next day. The honeymoon in Hawaii was everything they could have wanted. 2 weeks of beaches and relaxation, adventure and romance, with no obligations except to enjoy each other. They snorkeled and hiked, ate amazing food and drank tropical cocktails, made love and talked for hours about their future. "How many kids do you want?" Jason asked one evening as they watched the sunset from their hotel room balcony. "2, maybe 3, Maya said. "You?" "Same. And a house full of rescue animals that you can't resist bringing home from the clinic." Maya laughed. "You know me too well." "I plan to spend the rest of my life knowing you even better," Jason said, pulling her close. When they returned to Portland, married life settled into an easy rhythm. Work continued for both of them, but now they came home to each other every night. They hosted dinners for friends and family, took Charlie on long walks through their neighborhood, planned for the future they were building together. A year after the wedding, Maya found out she was pregnant. She had suspected for a few days, but waited to take the test until she was sure, then waited to tell Jason until she had a creative way to do it. She came home from work one evening with a tiny onesie that said, "Best dad ever," and left it on Jason's pillow. When he found it, she was in the kitchen pretending to make dinner. She heard his footsteps coming down the stairs fast, and turned to see him holding the onesie with an expression of wonder. "Maya, are you saying what I think you're saying?" She nodded, tears already forming. "We're having a baby." Jason crossed the room in 3 strides and picked her up, spinning her around carefully before setting her down and dropping to his knees. He put his hands on her still flat stomach and looked up at her with so much love it took her breath away. "A baby," he said, voice thick with emotion. "We're having a baby." "We're having a baby," Maya confirmed, running her hands through his hair. The pregnancy was mostly smooth, with typical first trimester nausea giving way to the second trimester energy everyone promised. Jason was attentive to the point of being slightly overbearing, constantly asking if Maya needed anything, making sure she was resting enough, reading every pregnancy book he could find. "You know I'm not made of glass, right?" Maya asked one evening when Jason insisted she sit down instead of helping load the dishwasher. "I know," Jason said, "but you're carrying our child, which makes you the most precious thing in the world to me. Let me take care of you." How could she argue with that? They found out they were having a boy at the 20-week ultrasound. Jason cried when he saw the images, holding Maya's hand so tightly she thought he might break it. They painted the nursery a soft gray with white trim, filled it with books and toys and a rocking chair where Maya could imagine feeding their son in the middle of the night. Naming the baby became their favorite topic of conversation. They went through hundreds of options, rejecting most immediately, debating others endlessly. Finally, they settled on James after Jason's grandfather with the middle name Marcus, after Maya's father. James Marcus Lawrence arrived 3 days before his due date, after 14 hours of labor that Jason later said were the most terrifying of his life. But when the doctor placed their son in Maya's arms, tiny and perfect and screaming his outrage at the world, everything else faded away. "He's perfect," Jason said, tears streaming down his face as he looked at his wife and son. "He looks like you," Maya said, noting the dark hair and the shape of his little face. "He's going to have your kindness," Jason said, "your compassion and your strength." "He's going to have your integrity," Maya countered, "your work ethic and your loyalty." "He's going to be lucky to have you as his mother," Jason said, kissing her forehead. The early days of parenthood were exhausting and overwhelming and more wonderful than Maya could have imagined. Jason took paternity leave from the company, the first real extended time off he had taken in years, to be home with Maya and James. They learned together how to change diapers and interpret different cries, how to survive on minimal sleep and still find moments to connect as a couple. Maya's mother visited and was surprisingly helpful, more grandmother material than she had been mother material. Jason's parents were regular fixtures. Emma came over constantly to cuddle her nephew, and Rachel declared herself the fun aunt who would spoil James rotten. "How are you doing?" Rachel asked Maya one afternoon while James napped. "Really tired," Maya admitted, "but happy. Really, truly happy." "You've come a long way from crying in that coffee shop," Rachel observed. Maya thought about that moment, about the woman she had been who believed she was not pretty enough. She looked around at her life now. The beautiful home, the husband who adored her, the son sleeping peacefully in the next room. But more than the external things, she thought about how she felt inside. Confident, valued, loved. "I have," Maya agreed. "Jason helped me see myself differently." "You did that," Rachel corrected gently. "Jason just reflected back what was already there. You're the one who chose to believe it." Maybe that was true. Maybe the journey from that coffee shop to this moment had been about more than finding love. Maybe it had been about finding herself. When James was 6 months old, Jason surprised Maya with a weekend getaway, just the two of them while his parents watched the baby. They went back to the beach in Hawaii where he had proposed, staying at the same hotel, walking on the same sand. "I wanted to bring you back here," Jason said as they watched the sunset, "to remember who we were before we became parents. Not that I don't love being a dad, but I don't want us to forget to be Jason and Maya too." "I love you so much," Maya said, leaning into him. "Thank you for always thinking of us, of what we need." "Thank you for being my partner in everything," Jason said, "for building this life with me." They renewed their vows on that beach privately, just the two of them and an officiant. It was not legally necessary, but it felt important to recommit to each other, to acknowledge how they had grown and changed while their love had only deepened. Life continued to unfold in beautiful and unexpected ways. James grew from a baby to a toddler, full of energy and curiosity. Maya cut back her hours at the clinic to spend more time at home but never gave up the work she loved. Jason continued to build his company, though he was careful to maintain the balance they had fought for. When James was 2, they talked about having another child. "I want him to have a sibling," Maya said. "I don't want him to be an only child like I was." "I want that too," Jason agreed, "though I have to say the newborn phase nearly killed me." "You were great with the newborn phase," Maya protested. "I was terrified with the newborn phase," Jason corrected. "But I'd do it again in a heartbeat." Their daughter Lily was born 2 years after James, with her mother's brown eyes and honey-colored hair. James was fascinated by his baby sister, wanting to hold her constantly, bringing her his favorite toys to share. Watching Jason with their children, seeing how gentle and patient and loving he was, made Maya fall in love with him all over again. The house that had once seemed too big for one person now felt perfectly full. It was loud and chaotic, with toys scattered everywhere and crayon drawings on the fridge and constant noise. Maya would not have changed it for anything. One evening, when Lily was about 6 months old and finally sleeping through the night, Maya and Jason collapsed on the couch after getting both kids to bed. Charlie, now getting older, jumped up beside them, and they sat in comfortable silence, enjoying the rare moment of peace. "Remember when you told me I was breathtaking?" Maya asked. "In the coffee shop." Jason smiled. "Of course I remember. Best thing I ever did talking to you that night." "I was thinking about what I would tell that version of me if I could go back," Maya said. The woman crying over a text message, believing she wasn't enough. "What would you tell her?" Jason asked, turning to look at her. "That she is enough. That she's always been enough. That the right person won't make her question that, he'll make her believe it." Maya paused. "And that she's going to meet him very soon, and he's going to change everything." Jason pulled her close, kissing her temple. "I'd tell the version of me from that night that walking into that coffee shop is the best decision he's ever going to make. That the woman crying at the corner table is going to become his whole world. That he should prepare to be absolutely wrecked by how much he's going to love her." "We've built something pretty amazing, haven't we?" Maya said. "We really have," Jason agreed, "and we're just getting started." Years continued to pass, each one bringing new challenges and joys. James started school, showing his father's intelligence and his mother's kindness. Lily was a firecracker, bold and fearless in a way that both delighted and terrified her parents. They added another dog to the family, a puppy that Lily named Princess. And Maya did indeed bring home her fair share of animals from the clinic that needed temporary foster care. Jason's company continued to grow, becoming one of the most respected construction firms in the region. Maya eventually moved into a supervisory role at the clinic, training new vet techs and taking on more administrative responsibilities. They both evolved in their careers while maintaining their family as the priority. They celebrated anniversaries and birthdays, took family vacations to national parks and beaches and cities they wanted their children to see. They navigated the ups and downs of marriage with communication and commitment, never taking each other for granted. On their 10th anniversary, Jason took Maya back to the coffee shop where they had met. It had changed ownership since then, updated its decor, but it was still fundamentally the same place. "This seems like a weird place for an anniversary dinner," Maya said as they sat at a table near where she had been sitting that fateful night. "I wanted to come back here," Jason said, "to this spot where everything started, because I've been thinking about that night a lot lately." "Yeah." Maya sipped the coffee he had ordered for her. "Yeah. I think about the woman you were then, so hurt and convinced of something that was never true. And I think about the woman you are now, confident and strong and still the kindest person I know. I'm so proud of the journey you've been on, Maya. Not because you changed fundamentally, but because you learned to see what was there all along." Maya felt tears prick her eyes, the good kind she had gotten so used to with Jason. "I couldn't have done it without you." "You could have," Jason said gently, "but I'm grateful I got to be part of it. That I get to be part of your story." "You're not part of my story," Maya corrected. "You are my story. You and our kids and the life we've built. You're everything." Jason reached across the table and took her hand, the same way he had that first night, though now both of them wore wedding rings worn smooth by years of wear. "I love you, Maya Lawrence. You are still the most breathtaking woman I have ever seen." "I love you too," Maya said. "Thank you for seeing me that night. Really seeing me." "Thank you for letting me," Jason replied. They stayed at the coffee shop for a while, talking and remembering, before heading to a nice dinner and then home to relieve the babysitter. Life was not perfect. It never was, but it was theirs, built on a foundation of love and respect and genuine partnership. Maya sometimes thought about the text message from Derek that had sent her to that coffee shop crying. She had deleted it years ago, had not thought about him in longer than she could remember. She hoped he had found happiness, though she no longer cared either way. He was a footnote in her story, a painful chapter that had led to something beautiful. As the years continued to pass, their love only deepened. They faced challenges together. Jason's father passing away after a brief illness, Maya's mother moving to Portland and needing increasing support, the typical struggles of raising children and maintaining careers and keeping their relationship strong. But they faced everything as a team, united in their commitment to each other and their family. James grew into a thoughtful teenager with his father's drive and his mother's compassion. Lily remained a force of nature, determined to change the world in whatever way she could. Both children grew up knowing they were loved unconditionally, supported absolutely. Jason and Maya grew older together, finding new ways to love each other as they evolved. They renewed their vows again on their 20th anniversary, this time with their children present, making it a family celebration. They took trips just the two of them when the kids got old enough, rediscovering the couple they had been before parenthood while appreciating the depth that shared experiences had added. One evening, when they were in their 50s, and the kids were grown and starting lives of their own, they sat on their deck watching the sunset over the city they both loved. Jason had just retired from active management of his company, handing the reins to a capable team while staying on as a consultant. Maya still worked part-time at the clinic, unable to fully give up the animals she loved. "You ever think about that night?" Jason asked, as he often did. "All the time," Maya said honestly. "How one terrible moment led to the best thing that ever happened to me." "Second best," Jason corrected. "Second best. The best thing that happened to me was you saying yes when I asked you on that first date. Everything else flowed from that moment." Maya smiled, leaning her head on his shoulder. They had had this conversation hundreds of times over the years, each of them playfully arguing about which moment was most important. The truth was, they were all important. Every choice, every moment, every day they chose each other. "I'm still breathtaking?" Maya asked, knowing the answer but loving to hear it anyway. "More than ever," Jason said, and she could hear the truth in his voice. "You know what I see when I look at you?" "What?" "I see the woman who cried in a coffee shop but had the courage to accept comfort from a stranger. I see the woman who chose to believe in love again after being hurt. I see the mother who raised our children with patience and wisdom. I see my partner, my best friend, the person I want to spend every remaining day with." He turned to look at her, his blue eyes still as intense as they had been that first night. "I see everything, and it's all breathtaking." Maya kissed him, soft and sweet and full of decades of love. When she pulled back, she was smiling. "You know what I see when I look at you? Tell me." "I see the man who saw me when I couldn't see myself. I see the father who taught our children what love and integrity look like. I see my best friend, my partner, the person who made me believe I was enough." She touched his face gently. "I see my home, and I'm so grateful I found you that night." They sat together as the sun set, holding hands the way they had that first evening, comfortable in the silence that came from knowing someone completely. Their story had started with 5 words spoken in pain and despair, but it had become something beautiful, something lasting. Maya Morrison Lawrence had learned she was pretty enough, smart enough, good enough. Not because a millionaire had told her so, though that had helped, but because she had chosen to believe it, chosen to build a life based on love and respect and genuine partnership. She had found her happily ever after, not in being rescued, but in being seen, and in seeing herself clearly for the first time. The city lights began to twinkle below them, the same view they had shared for decades, and Maya thought about how far they had come. From strangers in a coffee shop to partners in life, from that single vulnerable moment to a lifetime of moments both ordinary and extraordinary. It was not a fairy tale. It was better. It was real, and she was breathtaking. She finally believed it.